36 past the hour. Vice President Harris and Donald Trump are running an extremely tight race in the key battleground state of North Carolina. Democrats haven't been able to win the state in a presidential election since 2008, but Vice President Harris has been making gains, with the Cook Political Report shifting the state from lean Republican to toss-up.
North Carolina is one of those southern states that has really blue areas like Charlotte and universities across the state. But despite that, it's been pretty red until recently. As you just heard, North Carolina is yet another sign that Tiny Fingers is in real trouble, as the rest of the swing states have moved dramatically towards Kamala Harris and continue to do so. Republicans aren't just worried about Trump losing. They now see the signs that the House and even the Senate could go blue as well. And while that is good news for Kamala, it's yet another hollow sound for Cheeto Don.
From the big board to help us all understand what this change is, Steve.
Yeah, Jose, it's interesting here because there was a lot of skepticism. I think Democrats have talked all year about making North Carolina a battleground. Now, the other battleground states we always talk about all had voted for Joe Biden in 2020. This is one that went for Donald Trump. So I think that's where some of the skepticism came from, because Trump had improved his polling performance nationally. So the sense was the action would be in those states that had been Democratic in 2020 that Trump was trying to flip. Here's one that Democrats are trying to flip. And as you see, that rating and the polling we've seen suggests this really is that close. So what's going on here? Well, first of all, keep in mind the state did tighten in 2020. Back in 2016, Donald Trump won North Carolina by about 175,000 votes. That margin fell to 75,000, down 100,000 votes in 2020. You see the result here. Now, what goes into it? What are the ingredients in North Carolina that went into this close race and that would go into determining the outcome this fall? Well, it kind of mirrors what we talk about all the time nationally. One thing we see, Democratic support is getting increasingly concentrated geographically into metropolitan areas, suburbs with high concentrations of college diplomas. So take a look here. Wake County, this is Raleigh, North Carolina. You see, Biden won this by 27 points in 2020. Take a look at what's been happening in Wake County. And we're going to go all the way back here to 2008. 2008 was when Obama actually carried North Carolina by this much. But look at this. In 2008, giant county, Wake County, Obama won it, but it was by about 14 points. And look how that margin has crept up for Democrats. Basically, Biden doubled almost Obama's margin in Wake County. And also note the number of votes cast going up. You have population increasing, and you have Democrats running up now just massive margins. You see it right there in Wake County, and you can look around the state. Mecklenburg County, where Charlotte is, you see it there. Out where Asheville is a little smaller, but you see it there.
It's really happening, Republicans. It's like the beginning of a tsunami, where people see the ocean start to creep in, and then before you know it, it's a huge wave.
I accept your nomination.
Yes, it is early, but remember what Kornacki said. The last time Democrats won, it was 2008. And who was that Democrat?
The 44th president of the United States, starting his speech fired up and ready to go. And the common refrain, yes, we can, changed into yes, she can.
The election holds a lot of promise, but not just for Democrats. The South gets a lot of shit for being backward Dixie flag-waving Trump nuts, but that's not fair. Most of those red states are around 45 to 48% blue, and they're active.
We're tracking something really interesting going on right now. It's a surge in voter registration in key groups ahead of the November election. Among young black women, registration is up more than 175%. You heard that right, more than 175% in 13 states. That's compared to the same time in 2020. Registration has also increased among young Latinas and black Americans. 175%, can that possibly be right? You must have triple checked this, or many more times than that.
You're right to repeat the number, because I've more than triple checked it. It's incredibly unusual to see changes in voter registration that are anywhere close to this. I mean, to remind people, 175% is almost tripling of registration rates among this specific group.
Black Americans are moving back to the South, and they won't tolerate that Bull Connor redneck dog whistle bullshit. And Kamala Harris may be a woman of color, but she's more a person of strength and integrity. And as a former tough prosecutor, she ain't no snowflake.
Donald Trump spoke at the annual meeting of the National Association of Black Journalists. And it was the same old show.
If the Democrats turn North Carolina, and that seems to be the direction that it's heading, that might just be the slam dunk needed to silence the Cheeto posse and their skunk-like appeal.
I didn't know she was black.
until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
Obama proved one thing, and it's important. Politics before social media was easier for Republicans. They could lie, as Trump is trying to do now, about black men being a threat to whites, especially white women.
Women living in the suburbs, I keep hearing about the suburban woman doesn't like Trump. Well, I think it's a fake poll, because why would they like me? I keep the suburbs safe. I stopped low-income towers from rising right alongside of their house.
But that stopped working with the advent of social media and cable. Today, many of these rural white kids listen to nothing but hip-hop and rap, and they've seen the attacks on young black men, like in George Floyd's death. While Trump championed Kyle Rittenhouse, Democrats called for police reform, which Republicans turned into defund the police. And while Harris brought on Tim Walz, who could not be any more Midwestern if he was sitting on a cow, Trump had dinner with this guy.
White people are done being bullied.
Discriminating against and just denigrating white people.
I live in California, but I grew up in the South. I drove through Georgia before the I-95 interstate, when cops would pull you over and say, "Long hair, you ain't from here, are you, boy?" Which I'm guessing sounds a whole lot different if you're black or a Jew. But it was Georgia in 2018 that elected 2 Democratic senators, an African-American and a man of the Jewish faith. You think that was by accident? Yeah, Trump will still garner millions of votes, but for once, the Democrats didn't blow it. They replaced an old white man, a man of impeccable character and honor, and in his place nominated his choice for moving forward. The old Democratic Party of the 40s and 50s were segregationists, and they were wrong. But they're trying to get it right.
Key battleground state.
It shows Vice President Harris now leads former President Trump among likely voters in North Carolina. Kelsey O'Donnell has a closer look.
In the first Emerson College polling national survey since President Biden announced he will not be seeking re-election, Vice President Kamala Harris is seeing a shift in likely voters in the polling numbers compared to former President Donald Trump in North Carolina. A day after former President Trump's visit to Asheville.
We have stupid people like Kamala and Joe running our country.
Findings in a new national poll show a shift in support.
North Carolinians know that Donald Trump left our communities out to dry.
It's true, the last Democrat to win North Carolina was Barack Obama. And to show you how different the Republican Party was then, remember this?
I can't trust Obama. I have read about him, and he's an Arab. He is not. No,
ma'am. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with.
Of course, Trump's new racism surfaced shortly after that. Today, Democrats are the party of Kamala Harris, a woman who adopted a family of white Jewish Americans and has been a stepmother to them. That's pretty cool, but that's who she is. Yeah, America is changing, and it's changing for the good. That melting pot we paid lip service to for all those years is becoming a reality. Earlier, I called it a tsunami, but really, it's more like the tide coming in.
A chance to chart a new way forward.
And with that tide, hope. It sounds familiar.
I'm ready, let's go.
Damn right.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Trust me.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Who's with me? Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Damn right.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.